and welcome to the Narrowing Path, Walking the Spiritual Walk. My name is Stephen Einstein. Thank y'all for joining me again tonight as we do tonight's daily reading from James Allen's Daily Meditations. September's been a great one so far, so I'm really excited about getting to today's. Yesterday's was fantastic. Loved it. It was a new perspective for me to kind of consider, because it was like the meeting of multiple ideas for me. So it was really cool to go over that and let it all gel and make sense. So thank you all for allowing me the opportunity to do that. So here we go. This will be fresh to you and fresh to me, meaning that you get my genuine response, reactions, observations, and what I relate to about the reading. As this will be the first time that I hear it or read it right here on this podcast with you. So here we go. This is September 18th reading of James Allen's Daily Meditations. The death of the body can never bestow upon a man immortality. Spirits are not different from men, and spirits are not different from men, and live their little feverish life of broken consciousness, and are still immersed in change and mortality. The mortal man, he who thirsts for the persistence of his pleasure-loving personality, is still mortal after death, and only lives another life with a beginning and an end. Without memory of the past or knowledge of the future, the immortal man, having ascended into that state of consciousness which is fixed and unvariable, is not affected by passing events and sensations. He is as one who has awakened out of his dream, and he knows that his dream was not an enduring reality, but a passing illusion. He is a man of knowledge of both states, that of persistence and that of immortality. The immortal man is in full possession of himself. Wow, this is an interesting follow-up to yesterday's. Excuse the yawn, I apologize. This is a really interesting one. Spirits are not different. I've got to go through this one again. I feel like I got lost along the way. So let's just go through it and we'll get right into it. The death of the body can never bestow upon a man immortality. So it's again, he's taking away the idea of immortality from this physical material world, right? He's saying that immortality is something that has nothing to do with this physical plane at all. The death of the body can never bestow upon a man immortality. So a martyr, things like that. Things that we might have commonly associated with immortality. But still, that can all be just wiped off the face of this world, right? That's your definition of immortality. People still have to know about you and your physical body, your impact on this world in the sense of what you stood for, I guess. You live on through the memories and actions of others. The death of the body can never bestow upon a man immortality. Interesting. Okay. Spirits are not different from men and live their little feverish life of broken consciousness and are still immersed in change and mortality. Spirits are not different from men and live their little feverish life of broken consciousness and are still immersed in change and mortality. So spirits are not different from men. So we're talking about spirits. wonder what book this is from. This is another new one for me. Please bear with me, guys, on this one again. Yesterday's was a new perspective. This is a whole new kind of set of terminology I haven't quite followed with him yet. So spirits are not different from men and live their little feverish life of broken consciousness and are still immersed in change and mortality. So these spirits are still things that are obviously of this physical world, material world, that that broken consciousness, meaning that they're not actually connected to the eternal, the everlasting, right? So they are still immersed in change and mortality. So they're still affected by what happens on this world, by who's that comes into their life. So the spirit of man are not different from men. So spirits are not different from men. They were one and the same then. The mortal man, he who thirsts for the persistence of his pleasure loving personality, is still mortal after death, and only lives another life with a beginning and an end, without memory of the past or knowledge of the future. Okay, let's see here. We're getting okay, things are starting to clear up now. The mortal man, he who thirsts for the persistence of his pleasure loving personality, is still mortal after death and only lives another life with a beginning and an end, without memory of past or knowledge of the future. So we're talking, okay, yeah, we're okay. We're talking about the same type of things, really. We're talking about We're talking about people that still are entrenched in this way of life, still entrenched in the fulfillment by pleasure. They're entrenched with prestige and power and the reverberation of their name through the halls of time, right? Like this is what people look for legacies, things like that, and ways to live their life, the life of just pleasureful elation all the time. You know, I think it's hedonistic is the word that's used a lot. So, but this type of man will only ever know life with a beginning and an end, without memory of the past or knowledge of the future. The immortal man, having ascended into the state of consciousness which is fixed and unvariable, is not affected by passing events and sensations. So, when you, the more of this type of work you do, the more I use this term a lot, that you're disconnected, you detach, you unattach yourself from the material happenings around you, the physical happenings that happen on the planet, that happen in your personal life, that happen here, right? Because it's all in passing, right? This is the beautiful part about this spiritual walk, the beautiful part about being involved with this and living this way of life is you get to choose to live this way of life regardless of your circumstances. So you've chosen an immortal state, and almost you've chosen the eternal, to align yourself with the eternal, the everlasting, because you get to a point in this journey where you just be this principled person, this virtuous person, mm, into a place where some would say God's working through you, right? That you're aligned with the God of your understanding, that power greater than yourself, whatever that looks like for you. Into a state of consciousness which is fixed and unvariable, is not affected by passing events and sensations. You're just not out pleasure seeking. You're not looking for that quick feel good, things like that. He is as one who has awakened out of his dream and knows that his dream was not an enduring reality, but a passing illusion. Those who understand the temporary nature of this world, those that understand the temporary nature of their own lives or temporary nature of their own circumstances, especially their immediate circumstances, everything changes. There's not a single thing external to us that will remain the same in this physical material world that we're having an experience in. Not a single thing. What will remain the same is the virtuous and principled living. That's what we're talking about. Spirituality. These spiritual principles that have always been rediscovered, that I always say, things that have always existed, that people have constantly practiced and talked about. That is the immortality we're talking about here. The thing is, though, for many, you have to have tried and failed, or tried to get fulfillment and to the utmost extent from this world. You There's usually a complete and fully, how to say this, for people to finally turn to this way of life, to people to finally embrace spirituality. It's usually after a failing of demanding this physical world, material world, to present them with a fulfilling life, a pleasure-filled life. That contentment we only seek, or that the contentment we only get from connecting and aligning with the power of greater than ourselves, that God of our understanding. So we have to fully exhaust this world to understand that it's not in this world. At least that was my experience. I took a lot of pain and disappointment from trying to fill myself externally with drugs and alcohol and other behaviors before I was able to realize it was not of this world what I was looking for. And someone had to point me to it. And someone had to direct me to this way of life too, and show me how to do this. That's what my recovery was about, was getting connected to this way of living. All right, now to finish the main body of this, it says, he is a man of knowledge, the knowledge of both states, that of persistence and that of immortality. Like I said, you have to, that of persistence and that of immortality. And usually, well, there's only one way you can obtain knowledge of both. A full experience of the persistence of this world, and then a turning to of the immortality of the spiritual life. I say a lot of the times, until you know until you know your options, you do not have a choice, right? And the power is in that choice. Until you can choose either option, you have no ability to make a choice. So, to be able to say and participate fully in a spiritual way of living, you have to know the other side of a persistent material way of living with constant short lived attempts to fill yourself, to fill that hole. And then choosing immortality, choosing spirituality, and aligning yourself with the God of your understanding. It's a much more powerful choice. Though second, because we're not quite aware of it. We don't know what it fully entails in the beginning. We finally have to come to make that choice. All right, now the last line of this: the immortal man is in full possession of himself. That's fully aware of who we are, what we are, in all aspects of this too. Not just of the spiritual, but of the physical world we're having an experience in. All of these things. The immortal man has full possession of himself, and then has full control over himself. meaning that he is fully aligned and reliant upon spiritual principles for guidance and knowledge and growth. This is key to living this way of life, is to be able to stand on virtues and principle. Though not perfect, and it will take some time to refine everything. I'm not perfect at all. I still have my daily struggles, though they've evolved over time into much different things, which I'm grateful for. But I still have things I need to work on. But that's the path of purification we have to take when we're actually walking this way of life, to acknowledge what's going on and acknowledge your shortcomings and strive again for that ideal. Because failure is just growth with a different name. So, all right. Well, thank you all for letting me lead you again on this meditation from James Allen, and I'm looking forward to how September continues on here. It's a lot of new information for me. It's kind of fun to actually see where we get to with it. And I'm interested to finally come across the book that this is involved in. I'm accumulating and reading all of the books of his, so this will be when I finally stumble across the main text of this, I'll be excited to see where it came from. So, thank y'all for joining me though, and until next time, thanks.